Hello viewers. Today I'm going to deliver a lecture on linear discriminant analysis using SPSS. So it is a multivariate analysis or a parametric test in order to see the difference existing between two or more groups. We know in many cases there are certain groups. So in that group or grouping, if we would like to discriminate some characteristics, then we use the concept of linear discriminant analysis. So let us go ahead with the presentation. First of all, this would be the outcome of my study. Definition: when to use the linear discriminant function analysis, its applications, what are the assumptions that has to be met, also some terminologies that will define the interpretation of the analysis and how it works, as well as the different types of linear discriminant function analysis. So coming to the definition, a discriminant analysis is a multivariate statistical technique used for classifying a set of observations into predetermined groups. So according to these definitions, in linear discriminant analysis, what the researcher does is that they try to classify a set of observations, or they try to identify to which group member they would belong to. So based on some predetermined criteria or characteristics, the observations or the set of observations will be classified into a certain group members, and they will be concluded that that particular member or that particular observation belongs to a particular group. So one compulsory requirement for discriminant analysis would be to say that there has to be either two or more groups. So coming to the objective of discriminant function analysis is to understand group difference and to predict the likelihood that particular entity will belong to a particular class or group based on some predetermined characteristics, which we also call the independent variable. So when we want to perform a linear discriminant analysis, we would like to identify some characteristics based on which the observations can be segmented in different groups. So according to the definition or the objective of linear discriminant analysis, it is very clear that we would like to identify the difference in characteristics of the observation belonging to different groups. So in this case, we have used the independent variable. So we have two groups and a set of characteristics, and based on the characteristics that we define, we would like to classify the observations into two or more groups. So that is the ultimate objective of linear discriminant analysis. Moving ahead, we come to the purpose of conducting a linear discriminant analysis. So here, the first purpose of performing a linear discriminant analysis, it says that the main purpose is to classify a subject into one of the two groups on the basis of some independent traits. So maybe we have two or more groups and we would like to classify them based on some predetermined traits. It could be anything. For example, it could be height, it could be smoker, non-smoker, cancer patient, non-cancer patient. So based on certain predetermined characteristics or traits, we would like to make a classification of the set of observations. Secondly, the purpose of performing a linear discriminant analysis as follows: to study the relationship between group membership and the variables used to predict the group membership. So we try to see the relationship between the group members. What is the relationship? So how we are able to discriminate between the two or more groups, so that we also know the relationship between the groups. Is there any relationship between the two groups? So For that purpose also, we use the multivariate analysis, which is known as linear discriminant function analysis. Thirdly, prediction of group samples based on different variable. It is the same thing. So based on some characteristics, we try to predict a number of group samples, isn't it? So those are the three purposes of performing linear discriminant analysis. So now moving to the next slide. So when usually do we use the multivariate analysis known as linear discriminant analysis? So here it says that when the dependent variable is dichotomous or have more than two groups. So in this case, it says that if we have the dependent variables in a dichotomous scale, so we know there are different scales of measurement: nominal, interval, ordinal, and ratio scale. So in this case, when we have two or more groups, that is, which is a dichotomous, it could be male or it could be female, it could be smoker or it could be non-smoker. So when we have two or more groups, we prefer using a linear discriminant function analysis, and also in the form of independent variables when we have a continuous scale, which could be either interval or ratio scale. So the basic condition is that when we want to classify two groups and we have a set of independent traits which are measured in interval or ratio scale, then we use the concept of linear discriminant analysis. So the application of linear discriminant analysis as follows. We use it to identify the characteristics on the basis of which one can classify an individual or respondent as maybe smoker or non-smoker, or maybe high performer or low performer, or maybe rural or urban. So that is the application of linear discriminant analysis. We have a set of observations and we try to see whether he is a smoker or non-smoker based on different characteristics that we have set. Also how it works. So in terms of linear discriminant analysis, it is much or very much similar to multiple linear regression. So in this case, we try to first determine the discriminant function equation or the discriminant score based on which we can classify the observations into two or more groups. So for that, we have to compute the discriminant score, which is also known as D, or also called as a discriminant function, is equal to the discriminant coefficient value, or which we also call weight of that variable, and the respondent score for that variable, whatever score has been applied in the questionnaire. So it could be a Likert scale, isn't it? So we compute the discriminant score or the discriminant function equation, and in this case we have a equation which is equal to D is given by b1 into x1 plus b2 into x2 plus b3 by x3 plus dot 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 b1 bi xi. So we have multiple number of independent variables or predicted variables plus a. A is known as the constant or intercept. So basically we in discriminant function analysis try to compute the discriminant score. Sorry. So prior to performing a linear discriminant analysis, there are several assumptions like any other multivariate test. So first is to verify the sample size. So it says that we have to have a appropriate or adequate sample size, and this can be determined by having at least 5 times the number of independent variables. Second assumption that we need to meet is that normality of the distribution of the data. So it says that we have to have mean, median, mode to be almost equal. So because it is a parametric test, so that assumption will have always be there. However, in rare cases, we can assume that if the data is not normal, then we have more sample size, which is exactly uh, approximately uh, heading towards a normality assumption. So in these cases, we can uh, violate the assumption of normal distribution of data if we have appropriate or more number of sample size or large number of sample size. Also, there is a concept or the test called homogeneity of variance, which is tested by BoxM. That has to be met in order to perform a linear discriminant analysis with. So homogeneity of variance, it is equal assumption of variance between the two groups has to be ensured so that we can do a linear discriminant analysis. Also, non-multicollinearity means we must not have high uh, correlation between the variables, independent variables. So multicollinearity means having very high correlation among the independent variables. So it should not exceed, exceed zero point 0.8. Also, group size must not vary largely. So as we know that we need to have two or more groups, so in assumption we have to ensure that group size of each group must not vary in a large extent. So if we say that in group A we have 100 observations and in group B we must not have 1000 observations. So ultimately if we have, then there is a possibility that our results will be impacted in terms of validity and reliability. Also, outlier is a major problem for performing a linear discriminant analysis, which we have to ensure that there are no outliers. So these are some of the outputs of linear discriminant analysis. So first is we see the eigenvalues. So in this case, it is the explanation of the proportion of variance. So eigenvalues are nothing but the explanation of the proportion of variance by the test that we have conducted. So in this case, we have eigenvalue as 0.259. So a square, so in this case, we can conclude that only 25% of the variance has been explained by the independent variables, right? So it's very much similar to multiple linear regression. Also, a square of canonical correlation serves the purpose of total variance explained in the dependent variable. Value equal to 1 indicate high discriminating power by the independent variable. So we have 0.45, which is almost equal to zero point 0.2. That means 0.25% of variance can be explained by the independent variables to the dependent variable. So canonical correlation has to be almost nearing to 1 so that there is a high discriminating power between the among the independent variables that we have used to study the dependent variable, the groups. Another terminology that we have to understand is the Wilks lambda, which is also the measure of the efficiency of discriminant function in the model. It value shows how much percentage of variability in the dependent variable is not explained by the independent variable. So in this case, we have Wilks lambda as 0.79, which is relatively high. So it says that in this particular analysis, 0.79, almost 80% of the variance could not be explained by the independent variables in terms of the group characteristics. So it says that we could have incorporated more characteristics traits which could differentiate between the two groups. Okay. However, Weeks lambda is significant. That means it says that there is a significant discriminating power as well in the independent variables that we have included in the analysis. Again, we have the interpretation of standardized canonical discriminant function coefficients. These are nothing but the coefficient to examine the discriminating power of the independent variables in the study. So in this case, in this example, if we see that there is a variable called perceived use, so the discriminating power of this particular variable is much more higher than any other variable included in the study. So standardized canonical discriminating function is nothing but a coefficient or the discriminating power of the independent variables between the two groups. Also, in linear discriminating function analysis, it is possible to classify the groups or classify the observation into the groups based on the group centroids. So in this case, that can be computed because we have unequal number of groups. So in this case, the group centroid, that is the cutting score between the groups, can be determined by the formula a plus b by 2, where a is equal to the centroid of group A and b is the centroid of group B. So in this case, we can determine the cutting score through which we can classify the groups based on a discriminating score. So this is one advantage of linear discriminating function analysis, through which the discriminating cutting score can be determined so that uh, the values which are inclined to this particular can be segmented into a different group or classified into a different group, and the values exceeding this particular cutting score can be classified in a different group. Also, classification of results. In this case, we see that how many of the cases are being classified correctly. So in this case, it shows that 69%, which is relatively a higher percentage. So 69% of the cases are being correctly classified into the two groups, that is rural and urban. So here it serves as a yardstick in measuring the accuracy of the model in classifying an individual or a case into one of the two groups. So it is also known as confusion matrix, assignment matrix, or prediction matrix, and it tells us as to what percentage of the existing data points are correctly being classified by the model developed in the discriminant analysis. So some of the uses of linear discriminant function analysis are as follows. In healthcare, if we are to classify smokers and non-smokers based on different other diseases, then we may use linear discriminant analysis. Likewise, for socioeconomic dynamics like low income or low income or high income, we may use the linear discriminant analysis based on different characteristics that we set in the analysis. Apart from that, it can be used for behavioral studies like low user, high user of certain products. Also for finance and academic performance, we can use the uh, linear discriminant function analysis. In terms of methods of linear discriminant analysis, there are two methods. One is entering all the variables together, that is enter method, and the other one is stepwise method. In stepwise method, only those independent variables will be entered which will be significantly discriminating between the two groups. So with this, I come to the conclusion of linear discriminant function analysis.